your Zoom on the website,
Right. Yeah,
allowing it to
yeah.
stream. And you can stream to Facebook pretty naturally. But then there's a bunch of platforms where you can stream to multiple places at once. So this one is called Restream.io, and I've got like a monthly subscription to it, maybe like $40 a month. And I'm streaming. You just put like a API key. You just kind of copy and paste in. So I'm streaming on my personal Facebook, my business Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn. You got to apply to be able to stream on LinkedIn, but I got accepted for that. We're on Twitch as well, and so we're in 5 different places. Instagram, you got to go through like a third software. I can't be bothered, so they'll just have to deal without me for now. But yeah, I think it's pretty handy. It's pretty handy.
That's smart. Yeah,
one guy I was speaking with who taught me this, his concept was, if I like watching Alex's content and I'm already on YouTube, I shouldn't have to go to Facebook to find his content.
yeah.
Which I thought was a genius way of putting it. And so I thought, I've got a business and a family and goals outside of just how many followers I've got. So how do I get on as many platforms as possible? And so we figured out a nice way of doing that. So
yeah, that makes sense. Yeah,
that's where we are. That's where we are, brother. So hey, let's get cracking. You ready for a little intro?
Let's do it. Yeah, sounds good.
No worries, guys. Well, welcome back to the Coaches to the Moon podcast, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sitting here today with Mr. Julian Goldie, straight out of Manchester, England, but currently residing in Bangkok, Thailand. He is an SEO link builder with his very own agency and the host of SEO Link Building with Julian Goldie podcast. So, brother, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thanks for having me on. Yeah, great to be on it.
What's the best thing and the worst thing about living in Thailand?
The best thing, I would say, I love the culture here. You know, it's a lot more easy going compared to living back in Manchester.
Yep.
And you know, the people are great, the food is great, so all those elements of culture are really good. The worst thing, you know what? It's tough. It's tough to get back home, and like for me, like I really like to see my family at least a couple of times a year. Especially right now with the situation, It is difficult to get back home, and there's a lot of hurdles you have to jump through. So that's probably the worst thing right now, but hopefully things change.
You're a family guy. Yeah, but yeah, hopefully I hope they do as well for you, man. It looks like it's moving in the right direction for you digital nomads who just go and live the dream more around the world. So sorry to put you on the spot with that question, man.
That was good. Yeah.
I was curious. We were just speaking before about how we're going to work SEO and what you do into this format where we're talking about coaches mostly. And then we spoke about lead generation, funnels, and I opted in for your ebook recently. 123 page ebook. So it's pretty much a novel as ebooks go. Super impressive. And for everyone listening, I got a missed call 1 minute later and listened to it. I was like, what is this? And it was your voice leaving me a very friendly voice message, and then a text message straight away, and an email that didn't go through to my junk mail. And it was an extraordinarily well executed funnel, man. So well done.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. Yeah, thanks very much.
I've never seen a voice message before. That was immensely impressive.
We actually use, just being 100% transparent, we use a software called Go High Level, and it's got your email automations in there. It's got ClickFunnels in, you know, like their version of ClickFunnels essentially. And for certain things like that, it's so powerful. Like for me personally, I find setting up a funnel quite painful.
Yeah.
Because there's so many moving parts to it. But when you have software like that, it's just, you can automate a lot of things. And I was actually in a mastermind where they sort of taught me how to set all that sort of stuff up. Yeah.
Oh, it was baller. I thought it was great. I was so excited. And I was thinking, I'm interviewing this guy soon, and I've got just a newfound level of respect for this guy. So thanks for that. So SEO, I'm a social media guy. I do ads, landing pages, funnels, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, that sort of thing. You do SEO. For the people listening, just for some context, could you just give us a breakdown of what SEO really means to you and how it's evolving in 2022?
Sure. So SEO stands for search engine optimization. And It's basically about getting more traffic, more leads, and more sales from Google by ranking higher. And the higher you rank on Google, when people are sitting there and they're typing in whatever information, whatever keyword they're trying to find, this is search engine optimization helps you rank your website higher, helps you outrank your competitors, so that when people search for, say, the best coaches in Australia, you show up as number one. And by doing that, it drives more leads to your website, more customers, it helps you get more sales, and it's a free source of traffic. So, rather than paying for like YouTube ads, for example, or Facebook ads, your profit margins are a lot higher because it's free traffic. It's not something you're paying for. And it runs 24/7 to your website.
Great. Yeah. The distinction I tend to make to people about the difference between social media ads and a high ranking on Google, and I'd love to hear your opinion on this, is that for a social media ad, you can put yourself in front of someone who doesn't know they're looking for you. Whereas on Google, you're getting people who are kind of problem aware and also looking for a solution, and then they're more likely to find you. Would you agree that one is about putting yourself in front of people and one is about them finding you more easily?
Yeah, exactly. When someone's on Google and they're searching for something, they're usually looking to solve a problem or at least find some information. So they're actively focused on solving that situation. Whereas with social media, it's more, something pops up and it pops up in front of the person looking. So they're not specifically looking to solve that situation. Just on the topic of SEO, I probably didn't explain it that well, but there are certain ways of optimizing your website so that you can rank higher in terms of how your website is set up, how you write your content, what sort of topics you talk about on your website when you're creating blogs and articles, and also creating more social proof by getting other websites to mention your site on their site. So, for example, these are called backlinks. And when people link from their site to your site and it's just like clickable text, that's essentially a backlink. And the more backlinks you get and the higher quality they are, the more likely you are to rank higher on Google. It's like a voting system.
Yeah, and you talked about the backlink thing. I never really understood massively, but
Sure.
I through kind of researching you, really, I figured out what it was and more about it. And it just feels like it's another extension of collaborating with people and getting on someone else's podcast and being in someone else's video. If someone is referencing you because your content is great, then that means that you've got a lot more social proof. It's a lot like that. You see coaches with that as seen on Sydney Morning Herald, Channel 9 News, that sort of thing. That's what White Hat Link Building is all about, isn't it? Because you say that you're not an SEO link builder, you're a White Hat SEO link builder. And
exactly.
White Hat, Black Hat was a very interesting concept. And I hate to just ask you a question you would have been asked 1,000 times, but could you quickly break down for people what it means to have white hat links on your website?
Sure. So when it comes to link building, there's two ways of doing things. So you can do it the sort of morally and ethically right way to do it, or you can do it the sort of way that it's kind of like a hack. It's like you're cheating the system and you're trying to manipulate Google's algorithm to rank higher. So when it comes to link building, when you collaborate on someone's podcast or you're mentioned on someone's website because your content is actually really good and people trust in you and they're like, right, I recommend Julian or I recommend Alex, check out this article here. That's an example of a white hat link because it's kind of just like PR and people are linking to you because they genuinely want to link to you because your content is good, because they trust you, because they recommend you. Whereas with black hat link building, it's a way of cheating the system to get backlinks from other sites, usually through spammy methods, for example, spamming forums, getting software to automatically place links for you, posting on all sorts of dodgy websites that accept links from anyone. So, you could have a link next to another link about a casino or another link about Viagra or something like that.
Right.
So those are examples of black hat links. And the problem is with Google, they have quite a smart algorithm. And if you focus on black hat link building, it might work short term, but the problem is that Google will probably catch on within a matter of time. And the algorithm is smart enough usually to tell the difference between a white hat and a black hat link, which means that even if your rankings increase in the short term, eventually you'll receive what's known as a Google penalty. And it's basically a Google slap. It's Google saying, right, we notice you're doing something really dodgy with your link building, and we're going to penalize your website until you fix it. So all your rankings will go, all your traffic will drop down, all the hard work you've put into your website and ranking it with SEO is now wasted. So that's why for our clients, we focus on white hat link building, because we want to make sure that our clients get rankings, sure, but that it's there for the long term and it's sustainable and nothing bad happens to their site long term, whether they carry on working with us or not.
Lovely. It seems like the same thing as buying Instagram followers for presence.
Yeah.
It looks great at first, but then people catch on that you've got 30,000 followers and you get 14 likes per post. It doesn't add up. It's so funny that it's completely understandable why people would go for the low-hanging fruit, the get-rich-quick scheme,
yes,
get followers, get rankings quick. I've done it, definitely in the past, multiple times. We all want things now, but you learn that the slow game always pays off. And I think people like Gary V are actually helping to send people down that route of patience is a good thing, and humility.
Yeah.
And we talk a lot about sort of authenticity in our page and our marketing, because I believe that it's a hugely important thing. And I'm seeing you as a very humble, soft-spoken, authentic dude. Just
thank you.
Yeah, and just talking about what you talk about, knowledgeably and sensibly. And your marketing, I'm seeing the same sort of thing. You're just being yourself. So I'd just love to ask you, why do you think it's so important for businesses, especially solopreneurs like coaches, to have a real authenticity and honesty in their online presence?
I think for me, you can't really fake it. You might be able to fake, it's really about your persona, right? So when people see that you are just yourself and you're just honestly who you are, and for example, you see a lot of people and they do try and emulate Gary Vee, or they try and copy his style. The worst thing about that is that it comes across as fake. And if you come across as fake to your audience, then they don't trust you. And all the hard work that you put into creating content is wasted, because if your audience doesn't trust you, then they're less likely to like you, less likely to follow you, less likely to engage with your content in the future. And you only really got one opportunity with your audience to make a good impression. So it's really important to be honest and authentic. It's something I've had to work on, honestly, because when I first started creating YouTube videos, for example, I wanted to be like, Gary Vee is a very impactful person. He's very charismatic on camera. And sure, you want to like kind of emulate that style, but actually you realize when you look back, you're like, oh, it's so bad. I come across as totally fake here. And I think it's so important to be honest. And especially like you say, if you're playing the long game and you're focused on developing an audience long term and demonstrating trust and authority and building your expertise, you just have to be honest about who you are. One of the other things that I did along the way to sort of improve the way I present myself on camera, and I'm definitely not perfect, but I've taken a lot of like acting lessons and still actively do every week. And that's helped me not just improve the way that I present on camera, but also like communication. And I think that's crucial in any area of business, whether you're managing your team, speaking to clients, creating content, all these sort of aspects.
That's super interesting. Super interesting. I love your answer, by the way. But the acting, I have also done
All right.
TV presenting courses.
Wow.
I got them bought for me, and I thought this is a bit of a laugh, and it was so valuable, just in things like this, in a conversation, in a podcast, in a video, things like this breath management, pausing,
Mm.
trying to not fill up every silence with an or an which I definitely do all the time.
Oh yeah.
I've probably done it a bunch of times on this podcast already.
So easily done.
It's so easy, and it's breaking habits is tough, but that's really cool. So you do. I was assuming you have a team, and you do have a team.
Yes.
Are they remote? Are they in front of you?
They're remote. Yeah. We have 50 people working in the company. So
50.
yeah,
Look at you go, Julian.
yeah. We've scaled up a lot, I would say, over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And yeah, they're all remote. So we have teams all over the world. The biggest team in our business is the link building side of things. So
Mhm.
actually the operations and getting the work done. And then we also have client facing roles, marketing roles, that sort of thing. Yeah.
I guess your business of link building is a lot like sort of website building or funnel building. It's very much lots of delivery, lots of actual, getting your hands dirty work. And I imagine you need a big team to do a lot of that stuff to get someone ranking high on Google. That's a lot of work, right? And people think that it's a short-term thing. Let's talk about that then. So how long ago, I think 2016, I've read that you started your agency. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah.
Was that just
So
you?
it was just me
Yeah.
alone. Yeah. So what happened was I used to be a sales copywriter
Yeah.
and I needed a website to sort of show clients, here's my sales copy, here's my copywriting examples, maybe you want to check them out and sort of bring in clients that way. So that was my idea for lead generation. At the same time, I couldn't really get much traffic to that site. So back then I was on my own. I didn't really have any resources. I was just sort of bootstrapping it. And the problem was I was spending all this time creating content on the website, but nobody was seeing it. It was never seeing the light of day. And it was quite frustrating because you would literally spend like hours. I remember I would do like the Pomodoro technique where you'd write like 25 minutes, take 5 minutes off. I would do that all morning to create a lot of content and it would just never rank. Google wouldn't give it any love. So I was living in Chiang Mai at the time in Thailand and there's a huge SEO community there. Some of the world's best SEOs are actually living in Thailand, surprisingly. And so anyway, I had a couple of good friends at the time who were doing SEO and doing similar things. And they said, listen, Julian, you're not ranking because you don't have any backlinks to your website. So you're creating all this content, but the publish and pray method of just hitting publish and hoping that it ranks on Google doesn't work. So you have to sort of create backlinks to this website if you want it to rank. So I figured that out. I figured out how link building works, the best strategies, created a good system around it. Within a few months, started seeing the rankings just slowly creep up and more traffic come in. And I was like, I bet clients would appreciate this service too. This would be something clients would be interested in. So I started working with like one or two clients just at first, just to test it out and realized like, wow, this really works. It's a great business, providing a lot of value. And you can see the results. Like I can see if I build links to this website, the rankings go up, the traffic goes up, and the business grows as a result. So that's kind of how I got started with link building and just gradually scaled up. So we started off with 1, 2 clients. My first ever client was from Mongolia, of all places. It was a Mongolian real estate company. And then just grew from there and sort of learned different skill sets along the way. So I think I had a bit of a head start because I was already experienced in writing sales copy. I already knew how to build a website. I already knew how to build links. And then it was just about learning how to grow a business and how to really manage that, which I think is 2 totally different things, right? So you can have the skill of actually delivering the work, but growing the business, improving the customer service, operations, hiring a team, managing that team and recruiting are totally different skills. So I had to learn those along the way as well. And that's why it's taken 6 years to get where I am.
Dude, 6 years from 0 staff to 50 seems like a pretty fast, what's the word? What's that? I can't think of words today, Julian. Progression. Let's use the word progression. It's not what I was going for.
Sounds
Zero
good.
staff to 60 to 50 in 6 years sounds like a pretty fast progression, if you don't mind me saying. And you must be doing something right. So, do you think when you were building your team, did you build a bigger team to make room for more clients, or did you get more clients first to make room to pay for a bigger team?
It was sort of a cyclical cycle. So we started out with one virtual assistant and me doing the work, and we just sort of grew from there. And I think at that point we had like probably 5 or 10 clients when we hired the virtual assistant, but I was working crazy hours as well at the same time. So I'd work like 12, 14, 16 hours a day sometimes. Actually, I used to work like so much, I got like a trapped nerve in my back. And that's when I realized, like, right, I have to hire a team and I have to scale up, because if I try and do this all myself, not only is it detrimental to my own health, but also it's detrimental to the client, right? Like I really want to give the best possible service to my clients. I want to make sure they're happy with the service. I want to continuously improve as well. And that comes with having a team there to support you, usually who are smarter than you and can come up with better ideas than you. So as we took on more clients, we gradually built up. And I was lucky enough as well to have the right people around me. So in Thailand, well, I've lived all over the world. So I've lived in Thailand, I've lived in Bali, Colombia, Peru, Mexico. And luckily enough, as the rise of sort of people working online and working remotely has increased, I've met a lot of good friends and a lot of people who have sort of given me good advice along the way to keep growing and scaling my business. So that's helped a lot too. And that's helped me figure out, right, how do you go from 0 to 50 people and do it in a way that's smooth, keeps the clients happy, keeps the work quality high, and makes sure it's profitable along the way too.
Yeah, and you seem extraordinarily relaxed for a bloke who you must have a very good team behind you. You must have a very good team behind you, man. So that's great. Hopefully,
Definitely.
your team will allow you some time to go and fill that bookshelf behind you.
Yeah, let's see. Trying my best. It's still empty at the minute. I've only got my book up there, sadly.
Dude,
So
you got the blinkers on. You're not focused on anyone else, just focused on yourself, and that's great. That's cool, man. So let's talk about how growing that business, because obviously you need a lot of clients to get to the need for a 50-person team. And in the business of marketing, it's often about kind of selling people what they want, giving them what they need. It's a process that involves creating desirable results out of something that's really not that fun to implement sometimes.
Yeah.
For example, you sell the 6-pack, not the meal plan. So how have you gone about selling SEO as a really sexy service that people line up and want to buy from you?
It's actually something I've really focused on over the last 12 months, I would say, in terms of marketing. Before that, we were not that great at marketing, being 100% honest. Like, we could deliver the service, but like most most agencies before, we were good at delivering the service, terrible at marketing ourselves. So I read a lot of books about like figuring out the customer avatar, understanding their problems, doing a lot of customer research. And I think that's very underrated, especially as you scale, because if you want acquisition at scale, if you want to increase the number of leads and sales that you get to your business, at some point you need to step back, not just focus on sales, but figure out, like, right, what are the customers' biggest frustrations? What are they struggling with? If they could solve that problem, how would their life change? And sort of reverse engineering the ideal scenario for our clients, figuring out what their biggest issues are, and then going from there. And I think one book that really changed the game for me was Russell Brunson. His what's it called now? he's got a series of 3 books. I
Expert
read them all.
Secrets, Traffic
Expert Secret.
Secrets, another one. They're all secret something.
Funnel Secrets, something like that. But
Funnel hacking. Yeah,
funnel hacking,
he's a
yeah.
beast.
He's an absolute beast, isn't he? So, and the way he explains things is just so easy to understand as well.
Yeah.
I really like it. So from there, what we did was have a lot of client conversations with our existing clients. We analyzed some of the sales calls we were doing, and we just really honed down on like, right, what's our customer struggling with? Who is our ideal customer? And how can we help them in the best possible way? And actually what we do is we review that process every week. So every week I look at my customer avatar and I'm like, right, what have we learned this week? Whether that's from looking at what sort of content are they consuming? What problems do they have? What did we learn from the sales department this week? What issues have they highlighted to our account managers? And just looking at, trying to almost being like obsessed with your target market and figuring out, right, how can we serve them in the best way?
Cool. That's it. That's such a, I love that answer, because there is no golden nugget of wisdom except for just the thing that's so painfully obvious that no one does it, which is just focus on what your customer wants.
Yeah. And it's tough because I think a lot of people are moving so fast that they don't step back and do that sort of strategical work. I don't know if you've read a book called The Road Less Stupid, but it talks a lot about understanding your target market. Don't just think like, right, if we want to grow, we need to figure out how to get more sales, or we need to improve our marketing. Actually, it's something on a higher level than that. And it's really about understanding your target market in the best possible way.
Right. Massive.
And spending time on that every week, whether it's just with a pen and paper, you set a timer for 1 hour and you just brainstorm all the ideas that you have.
That's such a great idea, man. Such a great technique. Something that people get so caught up in the hamster wheel of running their business that zooming out a little bit and doing things like working on exactly what who is our customer now? How is our customer evolving? People don't have the time to do that. And I think that's because, well, especially the customers I'm working with, coaches, solopreneurs, one man, one woman operations, maybe with a couple of VAs. I'm in that boat as well.
Yeah.
Team of 3. We do not have the time to work on our business so much as in it that often, which is super interesting. Yeah. So I'd love to bring it back into coaches for a minute, because you said you've worked with a few coaches in your business, building their links, building their SEO. What do you think is the difference? And feel free to give a very biased answer here, but what do you think is the difference between a coach or a personal brand with a good social media following versus one with a high-ranking professional website?
I think there's a lot of similarities, first of all, but in terms of having a high-ranking website, it's not something that happens by chance, I would say. So if you want to rank higher on Google, you need a good SEO strategy in place. And not just with building links, but also creating content. And like we were talking about before, with figuring out your customer avatar, it's important to figure out, like, right, what are my customers searching into Google right now? Find the high volume, low competition keywords that you could easily rank for. Produce content consistently around those topics, and really figure out, when you create that content, like, right, what does someone want to know from this article? What problem are they trying to solve? And I guess that is quite similar to social media. Like, when you create a video, you try and think from the audience's perspective first, right? So you're like, right, what are all the questions they would have? How can I answer them in the best possible way? How can I do that without totally confusing them and everything going over the top of their head? So it's similar in that way. But yeah, I think it just doesn't happen by chance. So you need a good content strategy. You need to figure out what keywords you should be ranking for, and also building backlinks to the website too.
Yeah.
And that's the difference. Yeah, I think on social media it's similar. Like, you have a good content strategy in place. Probably not so much with the keyword research. And also, there's not so much like off-page stuff. So there's not the link building, there's not the PR that you need probably. With social media, you don't really need that to grow, I would say.
No, I think you're right. I think you're right in that you can't rank high on Google by accident, whereas you can absolutely go viral by accident. You can put out a TikTok video with no followers and get 1 million views on it, or you can have an Instagram post shared by the right big account and instantly go from 0 to 100, which is huge. Or just follow trends, which is another thing, and be kind of in the moment. It's kind of fad based, isn't it? At the moment,
Yeah.
are we making reels now where we're all dancing, or are we vlogging, or are we doing reacting videos, that sort of thing? You've got to kind of be constantly making things that are on trend. Google SEO, you've got to be working consistently towards a goal, which is it's a really cool answer, man. Really cool answer. And I guess that having a balance between the two is great,
absolutely.
But it's probably tough for a lot of people to pursue both at the same time without the capital all the time to do it. So, but I think one or the other, I'm learning from you today, can be just as effective.
Yeah, that's it. Also, the other thing I would say with SEO is that there's a lot of technical elements that content creators don't typically enjoy.
Yeah.
So all like so for example, last year, Google introduced something called Core Web Vitals. And all it is basically improving the user experience of your website. So how fast does it load? How easy is it to navigate the page? Those sort of things. And it can take quite a lot of technical work on your website to do that. Like, you have to improve the way the website is coded. You have to improve the speed that the website loads at, which is not easy unless you use the right plugins. So there's a lot of technical elements that you wouldn't necessarily have on social media, where Facebook or Instagram or YouTube does that for you. They handle the page load speeds and the buffering times and that sort of thing. Yeah, and just thinking about that, on the topic of that, with a website, you do have a lot more control because you own the URL. You control all the content on that site. You control how it's designed and how it looks. Whereas with social media, it's an awesome channel, don't get me wrong. Like, amazing if you want to grow your business, if you want to position your expertise, absolutely awesome. There's some things you can't control though. So for example, if YouTube changes their algorithm one day, or not even that, if YouTube decides it doesn't like your content, then it can take it down. Whereas with your website, you have full control over that.
Yes. And I am in the business of running Facebook ads, and an ad can be running one day and the next day it can be switched off, disapproved, and you don't know why.
Yeah, I've heard so many stories about that. Actually, just curious, how has it been since the iOS updates last year in terms of conversions? And have you seen many changes with that?
It's not as much of an apocalypse as everyone thought it was going to be. I think the main thing is that it makes tracking your ads more difficult. You can still get many results, but whether you're doing that in a way that's as effective, then you're not really sure. So you might have a website or a funnel that has, various trackers on it to see how your ad's performing, and less people are accepting to get their data tracked as they would,
of course.
would. And so maybe you're getting sales on your website or leads, but Facebook isn't recognizing that. So my job with my clients, generating leads, that sort of thing, generally we can, track as many as they're getting and say, okay, this ad's working, this one's not. But you have to kind of go across to your other websites and your funnels, and just the data's never the same anymore. It used to be whatever Facebook says is the truth. And now you kind of have to report both at the same time, come back and then just balance it. So it's not that bad. It's just that it's just another thing we got to deal with. And everyone's in the same boat as well, which is the same thing as, if Google suddenly changed some rule, then everyone will be in the same boat. And so it's not like any of my clients have suddenly gotten completely shafted by it. I think it's worse for e-com, for people who run e-commerce stores and are really following what's my return on my ad spend for this particular item and how many add to carts am I getting in. Yeah, the more elaborate your ads and your data tracking and stuff, the more difficult I'd imagine it is. My job's pretty simple. I get people conversations, and they I book appointments, and then they do a sales call, make a sale, process begins again. So
that's cool.
I'm blessed in that sense. That's why I work with coaches. The coaching funnel is pretty simple. I was in the coaching industry for like 7 years before I had my twin daughters, and that put me into a position where I had to work online the whole time rather than go out and do things in public. And I went for the coaching industry. 1, because I know it. 2, because it's a simple process, and 3, because you can make a sale into a coaching program, and it's a pretty high return on your investment immediately. Usually, people are charging sort of $2-3 grand for a deposit or a sale, and if you spent $1,000 on ads and they make a $3 grand sale,
it's a no-brainer, right?
You're in the black immediately. So yeah, man, it's a fun industry. Actually, that's something I wanted to finish up with you today, because you've got a breadth of experience. You've worked for other companies, you've got your own company, and you've grown from a 1-man to a 50-person team. So you know what it is to grow and to start from scratch. So you're a personal brand. Your company is named after you. Mm-hmm. The audience here, all 7 of them are personal brands. And so if you, Julian, in 2022 were starting a personal brand again, and you wanted to increase your online presence and build a coaching business or a personal brand, and you had $5,000, let's say Australian dollars, or £5,000 to spend, what would you spend it on to grow your business?
Good question. So for me, it's all about getting the sales in, right? So if you want to grow fast, you want to get the sales in, get the cash flow in the black, like you say, and be profitable from day one. So if you were, I think there are 2 ways you can do this, but for me personally, as a personal brand, I would start creating YouTube videos. Like for 30 days, I would do a challenge, create 1 a day, figure out what are all the keywords that my customers are dealing with, what sort of problems are they sort of having right now, and how can I help them? And then just create videos every single day. And even you could do that for less than $5,000. I think you could do that for maybe $5 a video. No, sorry, $50 a video to get them edited. So you create the content, then you get someone to edit it. You can just record it with your phone, so that doesn't cost you anything. And that would be great, because you would get traffic from day one doing this.
Right.
So if you needed to be profitable, if you wanted to get sales quickly, if you wanted to demonstrate your trust, and you're building from scratch, that would be a very powerful way to do it. And also with YouTube, you get so much organic reach. Like literally from the first day you publish, you can reach new people who are searching for you. You can outrank other videos. And it's a great way for people to feel like they know you. And then long term, I would focus on something like SEO. I would hire a writer, get them to publish maybe $50 to $100 an article, and get that ranking on Google so that you can get more traffic and leads long term. But SEO is not an overnight solution. So that's why I recommend YouTube videos instead. If you had 3 months to 6 months and you wanted to see long-term results, SEO is one of the best ways to do it.
Cool, man. I love how many different answers I get for that question. And that's a great one. Most people stay in their wheelhouse, and you did a little bit there, but sometimes you've got to be honest. Like what you do, SEO isn't the thing that's going to get them cash flow overnight. Just like me, I don't recommend people start off with ads, because you've got to have a system and a brand behind it. Otherwise, you're wasting money on ads, or if you're great Google ranking but shitty content or a bad client delivery, then it wouldn't be a fantastic investment.
Yeah, that's the thing. That if you're playing the long game, if you plan to be around for, if you want to grow your business exponentially, then you play the long game. But if you want to get results straight away, YouTube is a great way to do that. Yeah. I mean, just speaking from experience as well, we had clients booking meetings with us literally from the first week we created videos on YouTube. And even though it's a small audience, you can be very niche specific and reach the right people quickly.
It's the right audience. Love
Yeah,
that.
that's it. Yeah, small audience for the right audience. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
Cool, man. That's amazing. Well, hey, Julian, thank you so much for all that info today. That's a complete brave new world for me. And I dare say for a lot of people listening who think SEO is one thing and then it turns out to be so much more than that. So really, really appreciate your time and your expertise, man. And I hope you get to go visit your family soon.
Yeah, thanks very much. Yeah, really appreciate you having me on. By the way, if anyone's interested, we do have the book that you can see behind me. You can get it for free on our website, juliangoldie.com.
Yeah, I'll be putting links to that for sure because your website's really cool. Your book, I got a couple of pages in and then realized it was 121 pages more. So I didn't have time to read the whole thing, but it's super duper valuable for anyone who loves to really dig into what they're learning about. It's really impressive stuff, man. And you can tell you put a lot of hard work into it.
Thanks.
Thank you, Julian. So I will actually be back in an hour and a half with another podcast, ladies and gentlemen, but you'll probably see that one later on. I'm booked out today, but hey, thank you so much for watching or listening wherever you are. I'll be back soon with another episode of Coaches to the Moon. Much love and peace.